Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to come here and share some of my views on this. I approach it from a little bit different. I'm trying to give you some of the acts that are being taken by an organization I belong to, Major City Chiefs, which we've had some opportunities to get involved in the discussion about gun violence. Also, I would just like to give you maybe a personal reflection on what I see going on about this discussion. But first, let's start with the organization, Major City Chiefs, which represents the 64 largest police departments in the United States and Canada. We serve over 50% of the population of the United States and Canada, and we do have all of the issues of urban policing, and we talk and we share, and we try and get involved in some of the legislation that affects the safety of our communities. We've long had positions on gun violence along with a myriad of other issues that society faces. And so I just wanted to give you what the recommendations are from the chiefs of police of what reasonable legislative efforts to try and control gun violence should take into consideration. The first one, which I think everyone has heard, and from where I talk to most people, there's not that much opposition, is the universal background check. This is something that has been long overdue, and we talked about, it was mentioned the closure of the loophole on background. That's just to tighten up the whole system. That to affect the street sales or the gun show sales, just so that we can try and have a handle on it. Is it going to be perfect? Is it going to be flawless? No. But using that type of logic to say, well, it's not going to be perfect, so why do it, doesn't make sense to us. We should have some type of effort to make sure that people who are purchasing weapons really don't have issues that should prevent them, either legal or mental, from purchasing weapons. That brings up another point. We want to recognize the issue of mental health and what it plays in gun violence. And we have to be careful because it was just said, you don't want to go overboard and say that just because someone has some mental instability, all of a sudden they're a threat to society. For the most part, they're not. But we can't deny the fact that people who have been involved in some very heinous crimes have had some mental instability issues, and we can't just ignore that as well. We want to outlaw straw purchases. This is when you buy a gun for someone else who probably is a prohibited possessor and does not have that ability to purchase a weapon. We want stricter penalties or an outright ban on those type of, an outright ban and stricter penalties when those occur. We encourage the banning of internet ammunition sales. People can go on the internet and buy thousands of rounds of ammunition, and there's really no control or logging of who is making those type of purchases. Also want to eliminate armor-piercing bullets or ammunition for obvious reasons for those who do engage in law enforcement and wear vests, and then ammunition that is designed to defeat that really alarms us. We had an opportunity in January, several of us, to meet with the President and the Vice President and discuss some of the issues that were going on. And these topics were brought up. One other thing that came up during that discussion, though, was the need for some type of recording of weapons and the transition of weapons, either through sale or through the loss or stolen issue where weapons are stolen in burglaries and then they're used in some other type of crime. Right now, there's no regulation that requires that on a federal level. There are some local jurisdictions that have passed that, and I know it's a topic that's going to be discussed in Tucson. And it's something that we support, if nothing else, it helps us to have a starting point to begin investigations when a crime occurs and a weapon is recovered there. But also, it helps protect those individuals that may be the victims of crime or have lost a weapon, and now that weapon down the line, maybe years from now, is used in some type of criminal act. It clears them from being a suspect, or it gives them much better hope of being cleared from being a suspect when they've already logged that that weapon is no longer in their possession. So there are some benefits from that. Now, I talked about the personal aspect and the personal opinion here, and this is what I see because I get involved in these discussions, and because being involved in these organizations, we get asked to come to meetings and events such as this and to talk about this issue. It seems this, along with a couple other issues across the country, have just become so emotional and so radicalized on both sides that it's hard to have a reasonable discussion. That's why I'm really pleased about this type of forum, and I hope that we can share both sides of the issue and talk about it in a reasonable manner, in the middle of the road type of approach. What I've seen happen is as soon as one side starts to talk, if you want to call it sides, it immediately causes an almost violent reaction from the other side. And both sides sometimes have real good gems of information that get lost in all of the anger that comes forward around this subject. And so if anything else, I would say the best thing we can do to prevent gun violence is to hold our emotion in check a little bit, listen for the reasonable aspects and points. I'm so sorry, I just didn't stop. And tell people like me to shut up every once in a while. So